We have all heard the rule: a healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit. We instantly read that as a mandate for our own lives, a command to hustle endlessly, produce good deeds, and prove our worth to the world. Instead of finding peace in these ancient parables, we turn them into exhausting moral to-do lists. We measure every interaction and track our spiritual productivity to make sure we qualify as a good person. There is a deep psychological blind spot at play here. When we read a 2,000-year-old cosmic text, our immediate automatic response is to assume it is entirely about us as individuals. That desperate attempt to manufacture your own merit, to constantly grow your own good fruit, is a massive weight. It is the root cause of our modern moral burnout. Underneath that exhausting drive to serve others lies a paradox. Our frantic need to save the neighbor often masks a toxic urge to control them, placing ourselves as the ultimate judge of what they need. This goes right back to the story of the fall in Eden. Adam and Eve's original sin was essentially an attempt to define good and bad on their own terms, stepping completely outside the boundaries God assigned them. Today, we dress up that same rebellion as selflessness. We try to outserve everyone, which leads us to cross healthy boundaries, subvert authority, and overstep the specific roles we are meant to play. What we tell ourselves is a noble sacrifice for our community is often a destructive attempt to enforce our own flawed will. We are just trying to play God. To understand the text, we have to drop our individualistic lens. A first-century audience did not think in terms of me and how I treated Sally. Their entire worldview revolved around collective entities, households, nations, and communities. This diagram illustrates two distinct historical realities. When Jesus talks about a healthy tree and a diseased tree, he is not handing down an analogy about individual behavior. He is drawing a massive contrast between the two massive entities you see here. The diseased tree is the ancient nation of Israel. That old tree twisted itself into sickness, structurally failing to fulfill the demands of the law and producing the rotten fruit of false worship. The good tree is Jesus himself. He arrives to keep and fulfill the law that the old nation could not, structurally repairing the failures of humanity by taking the place of the entire community. The early ancient church understood this literal replacement perfectly. If you look at this icon of the baptism of Christ, you see the good tree planted by the water. Right next to him is a shabby, dying little tree with an axe laid directly on its root. Jesus closes his teaching by identifying the source of life. He claims the title of the good tree for himself, effectively replacing the failing structures of the nation and the Pharisees. This same shift applies to the Golden Rule. We usually assume do unto others is a social contract between two neighbors, but the historical context of the fall suggests a much higher stakes relationship. Remember that in the garden, humanity tried to seize the role of the ultimate judge. By treating ourselves as the final authority on good and bad, we effectively tried to displace God. In this light, the primary other whom we owe perfect treatment is the Father himself. Jesus fulfills this duty as our representative. He honors the Father perfectly, even unto death, treating God with the total submission that humanity withheld. He does this not as an isolated hero, but as the head of the entire human community. Through this act of perfect obedience on our behalf, Christ elevates humanity's status from failed rebels to divine co-rulers. This brings us to a practical safety measure: your vocational office. These are the specific, bounded roles you actually hold in reality, whether that is a parent, a child, a citizen, or a congregant. Look at what happens when you abandon your specific post. If a parent tries to be a peer, or a citizen tries to act as a savior, the natural authority lines break, and the community fractures into chaos. We have to stop trying to usurp the office of the savior. Believe it or not, the solution here is to get a little bit selfish, not by serving your own desires, but by stopping your frantic attempts to serve everyone else long enough to conform to Christ. Resting within an assigned office provides a measure of safety. These boundaries protect the community from the chaos that follows when we step outside our specific roles to enforce our own will. To truly build up the people around you, you have to allow yourself to stop serving long enough to be served. On our own, we are dying branches. We only produce life if we are grafted onto the true vine. passively receiving nourishment from the one tree that actually grows healthy fruit. This photograph shows congregants kneeling at the altar rail. True stability and dignity come from this exact posture, the passive reception of grace, rather than frantic attempts to manufacture our own merit. Your personal value does not come from your exhausting, endless service to others. It comes entirely from Christ serving you.